So for those that are new, I think some people are on new. My name is Cathy. I'm a watercolor artist and acrylics. I teach watercolor Tuesday, Thursday. It is no charge. You are welcome to come. If you have friends and family that you think would benefit from this or would be interested, certainly have them send me an email, or you send me an email and we can put them on as well. So I send out instructions on the weekend, and that's for Tuesday, Thursday class every week, same time. 2 different Zoom links. So we'll just get in art mode. So we'll take 3 deep breaths. At the top of the breath, just hold your breath just for a second or 2, and then release that breath, fast or slow. We're just releasing any extra energy. We're just allowing ourselves to get focused on art. So let's take a deep breath in and hold it and release. And drop those shoulders as you release. Another deep breath in and hold it and release. And one more deep breath in and hold it and release. And really drop those shoulders down. So we'll just give that a little shake just to release any built up tension in there. We hold a lot of extra energy there. And this is a step-by-step watercolor class, so I will take you through step-by-step. The picture is on the screen. It's also shown in a different camera lens. So I will go through one step at a time. We'll do this together. For those that weren't on a couple of minutes ago, you will want to have, if available, 2 containers of water. So 2 of them. I keep one for rinsing brushes, one for clear water on my paper. Some brushes, I've got an assortment of brushes and paper towel. I got this camera at a funny angle. My apologies for the delay here. Okay, so with that, we'll get started. This is the picture we're going to be painting. So we're going to start with the sky, and we'll just get the sky wet completely with clear water. So we'll just paint water all around the outside of the building, right down to where the land starts, where our earth starts. So we're coming right up the side of the building. So this is just a piece of paper. Keep that in mind. If you need to tap it off with paper towel, certainly go ahead and do that. But this is just a piece of paper or a canvas if that's what you're using. We're just here together to try something new, something different, learn some different techniques. We're just looking at angles. We're going to do some clouds today. If you're not happy with the outcome of your picture today, you've got the drawing, or you can watch the recording again. And you can do it with different colors or a second time. So if you get water down below on your land or on your building, you can just use a paper towel and tap that dry. And then when we put the color on, it won't run into your building or onto your parking lot down below. So have a look at the side and see if there's any white or not white, but any dry places on your canvas. So we do want all of it wet. Now there's different kinds of blues. There's cerulean blue, there's phthalo blue, there's ultramarine blue, cobalt blue, a viridian, a green blue viridian. So it's up to you which color you want to use. Whatever color you use, we will do a lighter color in the sky and a darker color on the pavement. I'm just adding a little bit of water. It looks like it's starting to dry a little bit already, so I haven't put quite enough water. I don't want it to be dry. And we have our word of the day has been chosen by Sohir, and that is possibility. So may you know possibility. So let's just focus on that word today, and then I will do the reading at halftime so we can have a little bit more information about that. And it doesn't matter what blue you use. As I said, I'm going to use ultramarine blue, but if you want to use phthalo blue, which is really nice and bright, or cerulean or cobalt, I'm going to use ultramarine. So now I'm starting with my color. So I'm putting ultramarine blue all the way down. And because I've got water already on my canvas, it's going to start to thin out. And I'm going to use my brush and just move it around. You see, it's a nice dark sky, nice deep sky. It'll lighten up when I put the clouds in, but for now, it's just a nice color. As I said, if you prefer a lighter color, that's okay, go ahead. And don't worry so much about all of your tones being exactly the same. We're going to have trees over the bottom part of where your sky is. So there'll be some trees there. And we're going to have some clouds. So we're just getting that color on. You can see it looks like a bit of a windy day in my sky. So I've got a little bit of a wispy look going on. And I don't fret putting colors on in any large areas unless I need it to be exactly perfect, but I don't find perfection is my goal anyways. It's just a matter of having fun with the colors. Megan's saying hi from Ireland. It was windy in Ireland. It's windy in Nova Scotia too. I think it's windy in Ontario. It's windy everywhere today. Now, while this is still wet, I want to put my clouds on. So I'm looking for nice puffy clouds, and I like to call them Homer Simpson clouds. So I'm just pressing with my paper towel and just absorbing some of the paint. So some of that paint has come off on my paper towel. That's exactly what I want to happen. And I'm going to do that a few times. I'm just making a little ball of paper towel. Just a little ball of paper towel, and I want just a few little clouds. I'm just picking up color. So maybe I want to have a little bit between my trees, so I'm just going to put a little bit down in there. So see, all that worry that we did about the perfect background has definitely changed just by putting those clouds in. So it was windy, and now it looks like it's windy, but it's got a nice variety of color. Now, in order not to be interfering with the sky, we're going to move to another section where we won't have any interaction with the sky. So we won't have any colors blending or mixing. So we're going to go with the same blue that we've used in the sky. And I'm going to use wet on dry. So I'm using wet paint on dry paper. So I'm not wetting the canvas first. And I'm going to do my asphalt in blue right along the building. Whoops. And if I go into my building, well, I'm not too worried about that. That's okay. And so I'm just painting that blue, and I do want that to be darker than the sky. It's the same color blue, but not watered down. So I'm just painting my asphalt in that dark blue. And you can see I'm going in downward strokes. That's the way that it's going to be in the picture. So if you're able to do that, just go in downward strokes. We've got the sky, and we've got the ground or asphalt. Now, while that's still wet, I'm going to do a lift off technique. So I'm going to rinse my brush off, tap it off on paper towel, not dry it completely, just tap it off. And then I'm going to clear a section with my brush. So I'm going to use a dampened brush, and I'm going to clear a little section, lifting off a little bit of that paint. So I'm going to do that under each of the windows. You can see that the blue remains there, but now we've got a little bit of clearing. So I'm lifting off enough paint that it looks like it's a glare from the sun. It doesn't have to be yellow to be a glare from the sun, but it also has some soft edges to it. So I'm not doing a hard edge, I'm just rubbing and it's lifting off. So with your blue being the same on the asphalt as it is on the sky, it brings it all together. It gives it that symmetry of color. If you're ready, we'll move on to the ochre. So I'm rinsing my brush off. I'm adding the fresh color ochre, and I'm going to do the top part of my building in ochre, all the way across to the other side. I'm filling this in with ochre. I am going to outline this in purple before I'm finished, but at this point, it's just a nice ochre. It's not really a watered down, it's more of a solid ochre color. And I've been using a number 5 brush, so I'm going to switch to a smaller brush, a number 3, with the same color ochre. I'm going to paint the inside of my windows, my upper windows. Again, I went to a smaller brush just so I could get those angles. And if you paint this more than once, each time you paint it, it may look a little bit different. You may look and say, I'm not sure I like that. I'd like to change that, or I'd like that to be darker, or I'd like that to be lighter. That's the benefit of painting something more than once. So I'm just going to work my way all the way across and do all of the windows, and then I'll come back and I'll do a little bit of lifting off. Just a little spot there. I'll do a little bit of lifting off. When I lift off, it'll look like there's a little bit of a reflection in the window. So we did the windows first when we did our lighthouse last week, which made it easier to paint around later. And we didn't have to worry about not touching or knocking something or painting where we didn't want paint to be. And some of your windows might be lighter and some of them might be darker in different spots, and that's okay, that's natural. The news from our sister Victoria or Vicky, and I think I told you a couple of weeks ago and even last week that she was Victoria from Victoria, BC, but she's Victoria or Vicky from Vancouver, BC. So my apologies on that error. But Vicky says she may be joining us. She's hoping today or Thursday of this week, and I don't see her on now. So maybe on Thursday we'll see her. So that would be great to have her back. Okay, so we've got the windows down below, which are a little bit of a green color. So I've got green that I have put in for a description for us. I think I'm going to make mine into a more of an olivey green. So I'm going to use hooker green and a little bit of ochre mixed together. So it's not quite a fresh green. It looks more like a toned down green. So again, I'm taking hooker's green. If you have sap green, if you have deep green, just add a little bit of yellow or ochre and it will tone that color down a lot. So see, it's a little bit lighter. It's not actually green. Sort of an olivey color. So we'll go ahead and we'll paint the windows on the bottom in that color. Some of your painting of your windows goes on to the outside around the edges. If you go over the lines, that's okay. That's not a problem. It doesn't, it's really not the most important thing. At this point, we just want to get that color on the windows. And then I'm going back with clear water. I'm going to dip my brush in water, tap it off on paper towel so it's not excessively wet, just damp. And I'm going to start to lift off some of the water or some of the paint in my windows. So it may take more than one rub to actually get that reflection. But what we want to do is lift off a little piece of paint somewhere in and around the middle of our window. Just lift off a little bit. So it may take a few times, not to rub that you damage your canvas or your paper, but enough that the brush is working to lift off paint. So I lift off a little bit of paint, rub that paint on my paper towel, re-wet my brush, get it damp again, tap it off on the paper towel, go back onto my canvas, rub a little bit, rub that paint on my paper towel, put my brush back into water and rub again so that I get that lifting off of paint effect. And it would be difficult to paint around and only leave the inside shaded like this. It's easier to lift it off after. And then you have that nice soft glow around the outside edges. And even that little tiny window at the back, I'm just going to take a little bit off in the center. And so I have that effect of the light reflection on the window. And I'm going to go ahead on the bottom and do the same. I'm going to lift off. And it's a little bit lighter color, so it might take a little bit extra effort, but it's worth it for visual effect. And if you're using a canvas and acrylics, which some people are, you'll actually paint this white on so that you have that reflection. So acrylics is a little bit different than watercolor. Watercolor, we leave white spaces or make white spaces. In acrylics, you paint white right on. So it might take a little bit longer, a few extra strokes to get that lighter section in the middle. And while you're working at that, I'm going to read our card for halftime from Sohir. The word today from the May You Know Joy meditation cards for everyday living is possibility. May you know possibility. May you know this word possibility. Open your mind and your heart to all of the possibilities that are out there for your greatest good. May you use your imagination to dream up the best possible day and the best possible year and the best possible life. What does that look like? What small step can you take today to get you just a little bit closer? Open to possibility, and you will find it everywhere. May you know possibility. Okay, where are we at on our picture? Thanks for that, Sophia. So we're going to move over to that little patch of grass over on the right-hand side. And I'm back to my ochre. I'm going to pop some ochre in that little section on the side. Well, this is the base for my trees. So we've just filled in that little triangle on the side, just filled that in ochre. And then we're going to fill in the trees. Hopefully your sky is dry, so my tree comes all the way up above the building. I've got a little tree in the middle, so there was a line there. You just have to strain your eyes a little bit and you'll find your line. And I've got a smaller tree on the outside. So this is just the center of my tree. And then I'm just going to start to put a little bit of foliage or greenery on my tree. And I'm not looking for a perfect tree. I'm just going to put some branches on there. They're not all even. Kind of a spindly looking tree. My center tree, I'll do the same, just make it kind of spindly. And the other tree, I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to add some branches. And in order to pull in the same color that we've made, that olivey green that we put in the windows, that was a mixture of whatever green you're using. So I used Hooker's green and ochre, and it made an olivey color. So now I'm going to take that olivey color and fill in around the sides of my tree. So it's going to get a little bit fuller and it's going to give a little bit of depth to that tree just by using that olivey color in between every other branch on each side. So my tree now has a little bit of depth, a little bit more color. So that's using the Hooker's green mixed with ochre. And I'm not covering over the green that I put there. I'm going around the outside edges of every other branch. So it keeps both colors. And if while I'm putting that on, it happens to touch and blend a little bit with some of the green that's there, perfect. That's a beautiful effect. And because I want a little bit of earth down below in that ochre spot, I'm just going to smatter a little bit of that ochre or that mixture of the olivey green on top of my ochre, which gives that an earthy look. So not to worry if yours looks the same as your neighbors or they all look exactly the same. They're going to look different because we see things differently. I'd like to give this building a little bit of color. In the picture, mine is a light blue. It's different than the sky and the asphalt. So if you have another blue that you can use, then go ahead and pull that out now and set that in your tray. We're going to paint around the windows, top to bottom, the whole thing. We're going to do wet paint on a dry canvas. So I'm using phthalo blue, which is different than what I've got in the sky and what I've got down below. We're just going to paint around the windows. Excuse me, if you happen to paint on a window, we're still going to do the outline of the window, so not to worry about that. So you're just going to go around the windows. Just in a different blue. And if you repaint this picture, you can choose whatever colors you like. If you want your building to be pink, or you want it to be red, or you want it to be green, or you want it to be gray, that's entirely up to you. And you've got the drawing, you've got the idea. So the theme of this is to look at the angles and to see how, when you look at a building from a distance, you see if you're standing close to the building or on one side, and you see on an angle that the windows, the shapes, they change. The angles at the top change. The size of the window changes. The reflections change a little bit. The depth that you see the building at changes. So when you're out and about and you're looking at things, pay a little bit attention to how angles change. And it might make you paint in a little bit different dimension. It might make you see things different, whether it's a flower, a tree, a rock. Take a deep breath and just drop your shoulders. We hold a lot of tension there. It's just a piece of paper. Just take a deep breath and hold it for a second and release. Okay. And if you've got purple or violet, we'll go ahead and we'll use that. If you do not have purple, red and blue mixed together makes purple. And I'm going to use purple right across the top of my building, just along the line that's already there. I'm just going to give a roof line. And if it's not completely perfect, I'm not worried about it. It's just a piece of paper. So we've been working from one place, then moving on to another one, allowing a different place to dry, then moving to another place and allowing that to dry. So we've just got that nice purple ridge along the top of our building just to identify there's our roof. It's a good solid roof. And then with black paint, I'm still using my number 3 pointed brush with black paint. I'm going to do a sill at the top and the bottom of each window. So I'm just painting a sill on the top and the bottom of each window. So if when you were painting, you hit the window, and that's what I had said, there will be an opportunity for us to adjust or correct some of that. So this will give a nice reflection, a look of shadow, and identify where your window is and give that really great angle. And with the same black, we're going to go all the way around our windows at the bottom, right down the side. And again, take a deep breath. It's just a piece of paper. And not to hit the lines for your windows that you've just done, but we're going to do another purple line, a thinner line, and at the top of our building, but just at the second level. So we're just doing a second line just to really outline that roof. I'm going to come right down the outside edge. And one more line of purple all the way down to the ground, just for the outside of the building. And one last thing to do to decide where you want to put your artist signature. And as usual, I like to put it in as part of my picture. And so I put that right in the trees. It just blends in, but I know I've signed it. So if I'm going to frame this picture, if I was going to put it in a mat, then my signature would show. So it's not right at the outer edge. But at this point, that's where we're at. You have the picture, or you have the drawing. If you want to duplicate this, then you've got lots of opportunity to do this and lots of choices of colors. As I said, it could be red, pink, purple, green, whatever colors you decide. So that is what we can